First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Tonight on First at 5, a divisive figure invited free speech and debate at the University of Florida. Our team covered both sides, including those who protested the event. The conservative activist and head of Turning Point USA stirred up controversy even before his arrival on UF's campus today. This is WUFT's First at 5. I'm Alex Lanz.
And I'm Nick Diaz. The visit was part of his American comeback tour across college campuses. We had several crews at the event today covering all sides of his visit. Our Jack Meyer spoke with Kirk's supporters. We begin with WFT's Madison Ginsberg live at UF. Madison, you were there when Kirk invited people to disagree with him.
Charlie Kirk made an appearance at the University of Florida as part of his American comeback tour. Part of Kirk's tour involves inviting what are called disagreeers to ask him a question. Tracy Ashe Shabazz feels neutral about Kirk.
Well, I didn't come to debate. I came to have a conversation. I feel like a debate is somebody trying to win something. I wasn't trying to win anything. I just wanted to understand where he was coming from. He
took the mic and asked about his perspective on white privilege. Ashe Shabazz says despite the interruptions by Kirk, he felt like he was talking to a friend.
He was really open, although he deflected at times. He was very open. It felt sincere.
Maggie McDonald held signs with swastikas to make her point. She believes Kirk is a misogynist and a fascist.
He's just one representation, and everywhere I see it, everywhere I can protest it, I will.
Kirk will be heading to Florida State University next to continue the American comeback tour.
That was Madison Ginsberg reporting. And there were just as many supporters in the crowd during Kirk's appearance. Our team coverage continues with WUFT's Jack Meyer live in the newsroom. Jack, you spoke to several people who were happy to see Kirk at UF.
While today's events caused a myriad of emotions across UF's campus, there were plenty of support for the conservative activists as well, as hundreds of onlookers flooded the Plaza of the Americas to both watch and potentially engage with the conservative activist himself.
But guys, honestly, people are giving their lives on the line for all of you, okay?
Yes, sir.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
From former Army veterans and conservative social media stars to University of Florida supporters, the American Comeback Tour's stop in Gainesville proved to be a campus-wide spectacle Thursday afternoon. Attendees crowded around Kirk's tent for over 3 hours, watching as he went back and forth with a wide array of participants on the mic.
Nobody else is willing to stand in front of a lot of liberal or retracting voices and stand on the truth. And speak to the minds of young people who just have been delusioned.
While there were plenty of heated exchanges throughout the afternoon.
Because I know there's a lot of hatred coming from conservatives.
And even some hecklers in the crowd.
Okay. Would it be appropriate if I called you Daddy Kirk? Is that...
Many attendees came in hopes of better understanding the contentious political landscape in the United States today.
And as we've been seeing lately, Gen Z, we're seeing a lot of different voter dynamics and polling change. So I think we're like a very important group of people to talk to.
Okay, that's all I gotta say.
God bless you, man. Thank you. You want me to finish this? Yes. Oh, wow. Thank you. It's very sweet. Thank you. Isn't that great? Give it up for him one more
Kirk
time.
had previously kicked off his American comeback tour at the University of South Florida on February 20th. Following tomorrow's visit to FSU, he'll be heading across the country for a pair of stops in California next week. Live from the newsroom, Jack Meyer, WUFT News.
To hear more from supporters and protesters of today's event and see a slideshow of pictures, you can head to our website at WUFT.org.
This week started cool and damp, but once the sun emerged Tuesday, we started a warming trend. It is sunny and temperatures are near the 80-degree mark, but as the warming trend continues, there are a few speed bumps ahead. WFT's Gancarz-Davies joins us now with the weather forecast.
Thank you, Nick. I know I've been enjoying the sun that's been out today, and we're going to have that continue through this weekend. Current temperature is just about 80 degrees, just a couple clouds in the sky, not even enough to give you a little bit of sunshade if you were out there. We're seeing that downward trend already begin for the evening as we have those 80s detracting into those upper 70s and mid 70s, getting even cooler tonight through those 60s into those mid 50s. A little bit of fog in those early morning hours, but that should be dissipated by the time you are driving to work tomorrow morning. For the rest of your Friday, you can see those temperatures climbing to just a couple degrees lower than we had today into those mid 70s, hitting their peak at 74 degrees. And we're going to see that continue throughout the weekend. Coming up, I'll let you know a little bit broader what's going to be going on in March and the impact of cold fronts coming up.
It's been nearly a week since an Ocala man was set free after he was falsely accused of a crime, spending several years behind bars. Ricardo Crawford spent 5 years in Marion County Jail. Jurors acquitted Crawford after a trial over allegations he groomed his ex-girlfriend's children. Crawford and his girlfriend had been separated, but he would watch the kids while she was at work.
A woman is dead following a semi-truck crash in Columbia County this morning. FHP says it happened at the intersection of State Road 47 and County Road 238. Troopers said the victim, a 63-year-old woman from Lake City, was not wearing a seatbelt at the time. And the Gainesville Police Department is warning neighbors about an old scam making a comeback. They say the scammers are claiming to be GPD officers with badge numbers telling people they missed a court appearance. They're asking for personal or financial information. Officials say if you get one of these calls, simply hang up.
Governor DeSantis spent time at Camp Landing in Stark today to discuss the newly revived State Guard. He thanked members of the Guard for their work defending the state, especially after last year's destructive hurricane season. The State Guard was revived in 2022 to help the Florida National Guard during emergencies. He said State Guardsmen were activated 10 times across 18 counties last year. The Trump administration cited increasing immigration enforcement as a reason to expand the unit. The governor says the State Guard will help ICE and Border Control agents this year.
If you look at what we've done to support the immigration mission, no other state has even come close to doing what Florida has done to put itself in the fight. We're assisting. We are going to help enforce the law. We are going to help with the removal of illegal aliens.
He said all 67 counties have signed a 287G agreement, which allows for street-level police enforcement through a task force model.
Candidates are coming forward vying to be the next mayor of Newberry. Current Mayor Jordan Marlowe says he will likely not be running for re-election as he is in talks to become the next city manager. The qualifying period for candidates to run for mayor closed today at noon. Commissioner Tim Martin and business owner Joy Glanzer are both in the running. 3 new candidates are running for the open city commission seats and 2 seats are up for re-election. That election is scheduled for April 8th.
A child protection center in Ocala is seeing an expansion after a combination of grants and donor contributions. Kimberly Center unveiled the building's expansion this morning, which now sits at 4,800 feet. These are pictures from the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Organizers say the development is to enhance the center's comprehensive services for children who have experienced abuse and neglect. The ceremony included remarks from community leaders and a tour of the new space.
Needy neighbors in Gainesville can fill their pantries tomorrow thanks to FarmShare. The nonprofit is hosting a food distribution drive Friday. Residents can drive through to receive fresh produce and non-perishable canned goods. The event starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the address on your screen. Attendees must arrive in a vehicle with a trunk or cargo bed.
Coming up, a local shelter is overflowing after almost 100 animals were brought in the last couple of weeks. More on how you can help them.
Plus, a livestock fair that promotes youth participation in agriculture. Stick with us to see the community showcase their fluffy friends.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Bear populations are on the rise. Florida's wildlife officials will meet to discuss the return of bear hunting in the state. Throughout March and April, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission will hold a series of online meetings to manage bear populations. Bear hunting is a controversial issue in Florida, but calls have increased to approve the first hunt in a decade. Supporters say a hunt could control bear populations as a way to reduce the animal's interaction with humans.
Don't let people convince you that there's no data. There's plenty of data, and it shows that Florida's bear population is thriving, and it can easily support a limited and highly regulated bear hunt.
Opponents argue hunting does not reduce human-bear interactions. Instead, the state could use non-lethal options to address bear populations.
Why take the stress and risk the public trust again? I urge you not to give in to pressure and not to go down the bear hunt road again. It's not necessary, and the public support is not there.
The last hunt was held in October 2015 and was projected to last a week, but it was called off after 2 days because the bear death count rose too quickly.
One of Alachua County's largest fairs kicks off tomorrow. Our Bernardo Montas visited Alachua County's Agriculture and Equestrian Center to see how workers are preparing.
17-year-old Savannah Eckert will show 2 animals at this year's Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show.
My rabbit is Peanut, and my bull, his name is Fat Rooster.
Both of which she raised. Dozens of other students and farmers alike plan to exhibit their animals too. And it isn't always the most glamorous work. The show's namesake nonprofit association relies on the hard work of volunteers to succeed. Fair Board member Brooke Bailey testified to that.
It's not something that's already just magically put up or somebody comes and does it for us. The students get to see what goes into making this fair a success.
For some of the volunteers, the bulk of the setup time is spent shoveling and laying down these pine shavings. With them, volunteers and exhibitors alike make bedding for the many cattle, pigs, and other animals shown at the fair.
Above all, Bailey says the fair is a learning experience for everyone involved.
Agriculture is the backbone of our nation, so it's very important to teach our students and everyone about agriculture.
But it doesn't come cheap. According to data from the IRS, the Alachua County Youth Fair and Livestock Show Association spent about $529,000 in 2023. It made about $518,000 that same year. Still, Bailey is motivated by seeing her students inspired by the work she does.
Seeing them build that passion for the agriculture industry, it just melts your heart.
Eckert, for one, says Bailey helped her build that passion.
I love her, and she is my ultimate mentor and the ultimate person that I want to be like when I'm older because I've been around her so long.
To other kids who may be interested in raising their own peanut or fat rooster, Eckert has one piece of advice.
Take the step and just see how it goes.
Bernardo Montas, WUFT News.
Alachua County Animal Resources officials say they desperately need your help. The shelter took in 94 dogs last week, and now they say all their kennels are full. Shelter officials say they are waiving all adoption fees. Any of the lovable faces you see on your screen now could become your family's newest forever friend. Adoption hours are Tuesday through Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. If you can't adopt, they're also looking for foster families to free up space.
Over the next couple of days, 2 cold fronts are going to make their way through Florida. How these cold fronts will impact your weekend, coming up.
Welcome back to First at 5. Guys, it was so nice to be outside today and it finally be warm and sunny after such a cold week.
Yeah, Alex, I feel like just last week we were talking about that cold front that came in. Ben, it's not looking too cold anymore.
I know, I'm excited to enjoy that heat and the sunny weather to come this weekend. If we take a look at our campus cam, that sunny weather is already here with us. We've got nice blue skies, not many clouds at all. Temperatures in the 80s, but they're going to be dipping over just the next couple of minutes down to those 70s, and it's going to continue that trend for this evening. You can see they're already making that impact. A little cooler on the Gulf Coast, but generally we're seeing temperatures in those upper 70s. But tonight, those temperatures are going to be in the lower 50s, even upper 40s if you look towards the northwest of our region. Down south in the villages, it's in those mid 50s, but generally it's going to be colder. This tomorrow, temperatures are just going to be 3 or 4 degrees cooler than they were today. Not too big of an impact, which is surprising considering we have this cold front coming through. But with not much moisture in the air, it's not having too much of an impact. We're not seeing that rain, and just a very subtle change in temperature. Over Saturday and Sunday, we're having this high pressure area come into our region. I think high in the sky, the sun is going to be dominating the skies for us. We're not expecting a wet weekend despite the second cold front coming through on Sunday morning as well. Again, we're looking at that passing through, not bringing much change. Those sunny skies, just a couple clouds are going to continue. Taking a look at that moisture that is in the air, you can see our dew points are quite a bit lower than we'd expect. That is why we are not seeing that rain coming through with those 2 cold fronts, and part of what is making them not as impactful. Similar conditions down in Marion County. Looking at our weekend forecast, those temperatures would have been quite higher without those cold fronts, but might not be the typical cool temperatures that you associate with those frontal systems. We're seeing those sunny skies lasting throughout the weekend, and that second cold front making Sunday just a couple degrees cooler than what we were seeing on Saturday. Temperatures are going to be in their lows in those upper 50s for Saturday and Sunday, climbing up to those mid 70s. It is pollen season. Those trees and grasses are flowering, and because of that, we have quite high pollen rates that might be making you sneeze or cough. If you're particularly susceptible, I'd recommend wearing a mask. This March, we are going to be seeing above average temperatures for much of the south of the United States. Normal temperatures we're seeing are lows in the 50s and highs in the upper 70s. So we're expecting those highs to be reaching 80 degrees for a majority of the month. Looking at the rest of our week, we have fairly consistent conditions with our temperatures climbing up to the end of next week before we have a cold front that will be bringing rain on Wednesday. Those temperatures and those risk of rain just about 60% before that dip on Thursday.
Coming up in sports, both Gators softball and baseball came out with wins at home last night. Plus, Hawthorne boys basketball competes in the state championship game in just over 24 hours. The Hornets' mentality after winning the semis and more after the break.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Happy Thursday and welcome to sports. I'm Daniel Haviv. Gators women's basketball has won 2 of their last 3 in this late season stretch, and tonight they host number 13 Oklahoma for senior night. WUFT's Ethan Eibe is live outside the O-Dome ahead of tonight's top 15 matchup. Ethan, I'm sure this team will honor the seniors leaving this season.
It should be an emotional game tonight for several Gators as they play their final game in the O'Connell Center. This team has planned for a post-game ceremony to honor their 6 seniors as we welcome in the voice of Gator women's basketball, Kyle Crooks, for more on senior night. Kyle, 3 of these Gators are in the starting lineup that are seniors: Alexia Dizeko, Rashea Kyle, and Jariah Warren. What has been their impact on this team this year, and what's their legacy at UF?
Yeah, it's a fun group. It's a group that worked hard, even if the results weren't there. Showed up every single day with Kelly Ray Finley is the head coach. She said so many great things about this senior class. The thing I can think about traveling with this team, Ethan, is the personalities that this group has. It's a special team in that regard.
No doubt. 14-14 on the season, 5-9 in conference play. As you look to next year, what changes do you see on the horizon for this team as they look to replace these seniors?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Ethan, now, college athletics, big part of it is the transfer portal. You got to go out, you got to get more talent. Players that want to defend, get out there, kind of get gritty on that end of the floor. I think that's the biggest issue with this team this year, was just getting stops. So you want to return your core. You have 3 McDonald's All-Americans on this group, so you bring that back. That's a good starting block for this team.
Gators looking to improve to above 500 this year as this team faces off against Oklahoma at 7 o'clock. Reporting live from the Stephen C. O'Connell Center, Ethan Eibe, WUFT Sports.
And Gators softball earned its staggering 12th run rule of the season last night, dominating FGCU 8-0. Florida scored 6 runs within the first 2 innings and went on cruise control for the remainder of the game. After yesterday's shutout, the Gators have outscored their opponents 57-5 in the opening frame this season. Also, this was the program's 92nd complete game 1-hitter. The Gators host the Florida Invitational starting tomorrow. Now, staying on the diamond, Gators baseball outlasted UNF in a nail-biter last night after a wild pitch in the final seconds. After blowing a 4-run lead in the 9th inning, the Gators rallied to win on a walk-off wild pitch. Brendan Lawson sprinted home with the game winner to keep UF's perfect season going. Florida improves to 9-0, the team's best start to a season since going 16-0 in the 2020 season. The Gators welcome in-state rival Miami to Condren Ballpark this weekend for a 3-game series. And Hawthorne's boys basketball is playing in the Rural Division State Championship game tomorrow night. They meet Crossroad Academy in the big game. The Hornets blew out Graceville 69-44 in the state semis yesterday to advance. This is the program's first trip to the state championship since the 2019-2020 season. The only common opponent between the two schools is Fort White. The Hornets beat them back in their second game of the season, while the Scorpions just topped the Indians in the state semis. Hawthorne head coach Greg Bowie is not worried about his team's focus playing on the biggest stage.
Coming into the season, one of our goals was to get here, and not just get here, to actually win it all. So the mindset and the mentality around the locker room is one more game.
Tip-off between the Hornets and Scorpions is set for 7:30 tomorrow night from Lakeland. And one final note, former Gators football players Shamar James and Cam Jackson participated in the NFL Scouting Combine earlier today.
Yeah, Daniel, the Combine is a great chance to see what type of stats these athletes can really put up. Ben, what type of numbers can we see from the weather going into this weekend?
Well, we're going to be seeing fairly consistent temperatures for the beginning of the week, despite those 2 cold fronts that we are expecting to come through both tonight and Saturday night. That's more so preventing a warm-up than initiating a cool down. Those highs are going to be in those mid to lower 70s through Tuesday when we start to have that climb up to 80 degrees on Wednesday before a more impactful cold front comes through Wednesday day, causing rain and possible thunder for us on Wednesday and a cool down on Thursday. You can see the high on Thursday not even hitting 70 degrees, which is where we'll be feeling our temperatures for most of the week. Our lows are going to be a little bit more consistent in those mid 40s and lower 50s until the end of the week.
Thanks for joining us. We're back here tomorrow for another edition of First at 5.
For your North Central Florida news is always on at WFT.org and on all our social media platforms. Have a good night.